Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started, and we appreciate everybody being here. Did you sign up to speak if you want to speak? Because we welcome that. No, you can't hear me? Did somebody say that? No? Okay, here we go. Notice is hereby given pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Vernon Annotated Civil Statute, Article 625217, that the city of Smithville will conduct a city council meeting and public hearing on May 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at City Hall located at 317 Main Street, Smithville, Texas. I call this meeting to order. Invocation. Kathy, will you lead us?
Bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, as we strive to lead and serve the people of Smithville, we humbly ask for your guidance. May our actions and decisions be guided by your love and justice, ensuring that every member of our community is treated with fairness and respect, regardless of their background, belief, or status. Grant us the wisdom to make decisions that benefit all, and help us to resist the temptation to favor certain groups over others. May we be a beacon of hope and unity, working together to build a better future for our community. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Next item on the agenda is the Police Officers Memorial Day National Week Proclamation. Councilman Jenkins.
Proclamation for National Police Week. Whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the law enforcement agency of the Smithville Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the city of Smithville. And whereas all citizens must know and understand the duties, responsibilities, agency hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that the members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the law enforcement agency of the Smithville Police Department unceasingly provide public service, now therefore Sharon Forrester, Mayor of the City of Smithville, on the behalf of the City Council, Smithville City Council, call upon all citizens of Smithville and all patriotic, civil, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 11th through May 17th, 2025 as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies and observance in which all of our people may join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present, and who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon all citizens of Smithville to observe Thursday, May 15th, 2025, as Peace Officers Memorial Day, in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of their duty. Let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes.
I witness whereof I have unto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Smithville to be affixed this 12th day, May of 2025. Will y'all please come forward? They're a happy group. I guess he has to stay. All right. Next item, proclamation for motorcycle safety and awareness month. Councilman Jameson, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Welcome to our motorcyclists in the audience. Whereas today's society is finding more citizens involved in motorcycling, and whereas campaigns have helped inform riders and motorists alike about motorcycle safety issues to reduce motorcycle-related risks, injuries, and most of all, fatalities through a comprehensive approach to motorcycle safety. And whereas it is the responsibility of all who put themselves behind the wheel to become aware of motorcyclists and to obey all traffic laws. And whereas motorists are encouraged to become aware of the inherent danger involved in operating a motorcycle, and for riders and motorists alike to give each other the mutual respect they deserve.
Now therefore, I, Sharon Forrester, Mayor of the City of Smithville, Texas, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month. In the City of Smithville, we urge all citizens to do their part to increase motorcycle safety and awareness in the community. Will y'all come forward, please? Proclamation for June Pride Month. Councilman Meek, please.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the month of June was designated Pride Month to commemorate the Stonewall riots, which occurred in June of 1969 and are generally recognized as the catalyst for the LGBT rights movement. And whereas every individual is equal before and under the law and has the right to equal and equitable benefit of the law without discrimination based on race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, or mental or physical disability. And whereas the group that founded Bastrop Pride was formed in 2021 through the efforts to foster community and gained its nonprofit status in March of 2023. And whereas Bastrop Pride celebrations and programs have grown to serve not only the county of Bastrop, but all other communities that may share our beautiful natural borders. And whereas Bastrop Pride is committed to education, awareness, and social opportunities throughout our community by way of scholarships, festivals, and coalition building with fellow businesses and agencies. And whereas Bastrop celebrates the history and diversity of our county's community and promotes a society in which all residents can live free to express themselves and their stories. And whereas Pride Month is an opportunity to advocate legal protections against discrimination, work towards inclusive policies and legislation, and challenge societal prejudices that continue to marginalize LGBTQ+ individuals.
Now therefore, I, Sharon Forrester, Mayor of Smithville, Texas, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2025 as Bastrop Pride Month in the city of Smithville and encourage everyone to respect the civil rights for our neighbors and celebrate our unique, authentic Bastrop experiences. Dak, are you here? Georgie?
And then the one little announcement, June 1st, Sunday, we'll be having our brunch with the board and your community mixer at Comfort Cafe and part of the Sunday market. So y'all can come down, talk with us. We're working on getting y'all some extra meals. And then we'll take a lap around town just to enjoy our beautiful Sunday. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Proclamation for Councilman Etheridge. Councilman Jameson?
Thank you, Mayor and the city manager, for the opportunity to start what hopefully can become a new tradition for those who volunteer their time to serve on the city council. Whereas today we honor outgoing council member Tom Etheridge for his numerous accomplishments while serving on the Smithville City Council for the last 4 years. And whereas he served as mayor pro tem in 2023, and whereas he has been instrumental in expanding the level and transparency and accountability at both the council and city staff levels. And whereas as a council member, Etheridge worked to establish performance standards and a city manager contract template with performance and accountability metrics as a guidance tool for the council and the city manager. And whereas he was the forefront of developing the Smithville Farmers Market and involving the Downtown Alliance with council input on critical issues, among other special projects. And whereas through self-imposed term limits and his personal commitment to recruit younger Smithvillians to serve on the city council, Councilman Etheridge decided not to run for re-election this year. And whereas we wish Councilman Etheridge well as he departs from his time of service on the Smithville City Council and look forward to his continued involvement and positive contributions to the Smithville community for many years to come.
Now therefore, the mayor and the city council of the city of Smithville, Texas, do hereby recognize Tom Etheridge for his many accomplishments as council member and mayor pro tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. Also, my colleagues. I just wanted to say thank you. That were very kind remarks, and I've enjoyed the service, and I wish you all the best. I'm here to help any way I can.
Would his family like to come forward for a picture? Oh, I didn't see you back there. I'm sorry. Come on. Come on, we can read the picture. Your wife and... You sure? Okay. Okay, well, we can do it at the end if they want. Okay, our next item is Aquifer Storage and Recovery presentation by Randy Jenkins with the Austin Water. Welcome, Randy. Randy is a native here. She grew up here, and so she brought her people with her, and they made the loop. That's back in the old days if you're from Smithville. But the loop don't really exist
I
anymore.
know, that loop.
Took it out.
Oh,
Thank
that
you.
loop could talk. Yeah. I'll let Jennifer get it keyed up here. All right. Well, thank you, Mayor Forrester, City Council members, and City Manager Tamble for the opportunity to speak with you this evening about Austin's Aquifer Storage and Recovery Project. As Sharon mentioned, I'm sorry, Mayor Forrester mentioned, I am Randy Jenkins, an Assistant Director at Austin Water. As you heard, in addition to my role and career at Austin Water, I am proud to say that I am from Smithville, Texas, and a graduate of Smithville High School. And before becoming Jenkins, I was known by my maiden name as Randy Richards. Being with you this evening is a full circle moment, and it reminds me of my family. I am the niece of former Mayor Vernon Richards, who served in this city council chamber as a city council member and then as the mayor of Smithville for 10 years. I know he loved this city and community as much as I do. So as I introduce this project, know that it personally comes from a place of dual commitment, not only from Austin Water, but for a love of Smithville and Bastrop County. We appreciate Representative Gerdes for forming a working group and challenging us to work towards a partnership agreement. More so, we are thankful that Smithville was recently added to that working group in the conversation so that we can continue to engage directly with all of those in Bastrop County. I am pleased to provide an overview, discuss the planned safeguards to protect the aquifer, and seek your inputs for the benefits of Bastrop County. I know the main question this evening and on many of your minds is, why is Austin pursuing ASR? Austin Water has worked diligently to plan for our future water supply needs through a multi-year effort to prepare our 100-year water supply strategies. This is named and referred to as Water Forward. This plan has been approved by Austin City Council in 2018 and was again updated last year in 2024. ASR is a key strategy to stretch our existing water supplies and is needed to meet the needs during times of drought or other related emergencies. Austin's ASR project is also in the State of Texas Water Plan. For our stakeholder and city leaders, making the most of our existing supplies, such as storing excess water in an aquifer, has been a guiding principle to mitigate evaporation. The ASR project will be part of Austin's primary water supply if implemented. Severity and frequency of droughts, and as we're nearing a 100-degree day tomorrow and the day after, we've all seen, along with population growth, will create a water supply shortage in the future. Our forecasting tells us that we must take action to meet our community's water needs, and we are working to do this in a thoughtful and responsible way. We are optimistic that working together, we can create a regional approach to support all of our communities, including the community that I am from and the one in which my parents still reside. We are in the early stages of this project, and so far, no field testing has been done. Our next planned phase will involve preliminary field testing in a laboratory testing setting, but no water will be injected into the aquifer in this phase. We will only be extracting small amounts of native groundwater down to about 3,000 feet deep to begin testing that water in a lab. We will not need an injection well permit from TCEQ until about 3 years from now. However, we will not proceed with this next phase of the initial field testing if House Bill 1523 passes as is written today. Now I'd like to introduce and welcome Marisa Flores Gonzalez to the podium to give more details about the project and our planned safeguards.
Hello and good evening. My name is Marisa Flores Gonzalez, and I'm the Water Resources Program Manager at Austin Water. I have a couple of slides here, so I'm going to click through those. Maybe. Yeah, you might have to. Great. Just for a little bit of background, aquifer storage and recovery is a water supply strategy to store available water from the City of Austin's existing water rights and our contract with the Lower Colorado River Authority for recovery and use later when we might need it most. This, as Randy mentioned, is a part of our long-term 100-year integrated water resource plan. Other cities in the US and in Texas are already using ASR systems and have done so for many decades, including in San Antonio, El Paso, and Kerrville. In 2021, we began a desktop study to look at areas that may be most favorable for an ASR project. Next slide. The diagram shown on the screen is to illustrate how aquifer storage and recovery works. So the ASR project will not remove more groundwater than the amount of surface water that is stored within the aquifer. This water would be stored in potentially the Carrizo-Wilcox aquifer, and that's what we need to test through further field testing to confirm if that would be feasible through piloting as well. When Austin's regular water supply becomes low during drought conditions, the stored water would be pumped out of the aquifer, and that stored water would be tested and treated before it's distributed to customers within Austin Water's system. Next slide. To identify potential locations for an ASR project, Austin went through a multi-step desktop study process. The first step in this was to conduct a storage zone screening analysis. And as a part of that step, we looked across aquifer systems in 8 counties, including Travis County within the Central Texas region. From that step, we identified more favorable areas for an ASR project. And as a part of step 2, we perform more detailed spatial analysis to look at preferred storage zones in Travis, Bastrop, and Lee counties. As a part of that analysis, we then narrowed down our area of focus. And now in step 3, we've selected an ASR location for field testing and potential piloting. That location is more technically favorable for an aquifer storage and recovery project based on the characteristics of the aquifer, and it also aligns with water forward goals. Next slide. The results of that desktop study have shown that the Carrizo-Wilcox aquifer within Bastrop County is the most suitable location for further field testing and potential piloting for Austin's ASR project. As Randy mentioned, though, as long as House Bill 1523, if House Bill 1523 did pass into law, we wouldn't proceed into the next phase of field testing. This area we've identified could potentially meet water forward goals for drought supplies and provide resiliency to the Austin water system. Austin Water is estimated by 2120, the ASR water could be stored under approximately 7,000 acres. That includes a half-mile buffer around the potential well field. The total impact on the surface with facilities, wellheads, above ground structures would be distributed across approximately 200 acres of that 7,000. Next slide. So our timeline so far has focused on the desktop analysis. We've performed that work from 2022 to present, or approximately 2022 to present. Our next step, should we proceed into phase 1B, would include exploratory drilling and field testing. And as Randy mentioned, that phase would just include us removing groundwater samples and core samples to test those within a laboratory setting. We would be testing those samples to understand the baseline geochemistry of the aquifer. And we would also be testing potential interactions of the groundwater and core samples with Austin Water finished water, so the water that we would potentially be putting into the aquifer. Again, this would be done in a laboratory setting. That would enable us to understand any potential interactions negative interactions that could be posed by that water coming together, and would allow us to adjust our treatment technologies to prevent those sorts of negative interactions. As a part of exploratory drilling and field testing, Austin Water would be sharing testing protocols, methods, and results with stakeholders throughout this process, which we expect could last from 36 to 42 months. The next step, if we proceed beyond exploratory drilling and field testing, would be pilot ASR testing. This phase would take potentially another 36 to 42 months. And during this phase, Austin Water would drill one pilot or test ASR well. And during that step, we would be injecting water underground that has undergone the appropriate treatment processes to prevent any sort of negative water quality interactions. We would be injecting that water and then withdrawing it to understand how an ASR project would perform within the potential area that we're looking at. After that pilot ASR testing phase, then we would move on to, if the results were favorable, we would move on to full-scale ASR design and construction. And we anticipate that that phase could take between 8 to 10 years. We want, as we're really just moving from the desktop analysis to the exploratory drilling and field testing plan, we want to work side by side with stakeholders to create a field testing plan that has stakeholder support and to make all parties comfortable in our collective understanding of any water interaction impacts. Based on the results of the field testing, a go or no-go decision will be made for the project in alignment with conditions that we're outlining as part of a partnership framework that Austin Water is developing, working with stakeholders within Bastrop County. Next slide. I think at this point, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Emily Chancellor, to speak more about the partnership framework that we're developing with stakeholders and local community benefits.
Thank you. I'm Emily Chancellor. I'm in our Public Information Office at Austin Water. I'm part of Randy's team. And I just have a brief few points and then we can get to questions. So I know Randy mentioned to you all that Representative Gerdes put together a sort of working group. And so one of the things that that group has been focused on is starting to formulate a memorandum of understanding that the parties, Austin Water and parties in Bastrop County, can agree to, and we hope to move that forward to approval at bodies such as yours. So I wanted to share a few commitments that Austin Water has made and that's in our draft documents related to the project. First of all, we commit to putting more water into the aquifer than is taken out with this project. So this project is not about taking groundwater. We will be storing water that Austin Water has access to, and we will not take out more than we put in. In addition to that amount that will stay in the aquifer, we want to have conversations with local providers in Bastrop County about your water supply needs. And there are opportunities for Austin Water to enter into agreement to provide water supply locally where there are needs and where it's near the project. So that's part of our discussions, and we hope to hear more from you tonight about that. So that's a benefit that we want to discuss and make part of this agreement. We have also said that Austin will not use eminent domain for property needed for this project. So that's a commitment we're making. We've also said that land agreements for this project will be structured so that families can continue farming and ranching operations. Those are compatible uses with an ASR project. So the landowners would be compensated either through a lease or purchase, and they would have the opportunity to stay on the land and continue their current activities. Marisa mentioned it a little bit, but I'll repeat that we will have monitoring wells as part of the project. So through the testing phase and future phases, if the project continues, that data will be shared with stakeholders. We're working closely with many of the technical staff at Lost Pines Groundwater Conservation District and other entities to share our protocols with them, get their feedback on it, and that will continue throughout the project. There's been a request, and Austin Water has said that we definitely support having an educational component for this project. So that would include a center, a physical center where children or anyone who's interested could come and learn more about water. And so that's something that we intend to build out in the final project. So that's some highlights we wanted to share with you tonight about Austin Water's commitment. We hope to hear more from you about what you'd like to see in a memorandum of understanding, and we're here to answer questions and talk more about what your interests are. So I'll ask my colleagues to come up because I probably can't answer all your questions, but we'll sort of, based on our expertise, we'll.
Is this a Q&A section right now? Can we ask a question? First question. The primary narrative that I've followed has been, why wasn't the aquifers in Austin proper not chosen over, the rural or the peripheral ones? Can you give us a little bit of insight? You referenced that you did this desktop analysis and you determined that the criteria was best met in this location. Can you tell us a little bit about what that criteria was and why the aquifers that are in Austin proper weren't chosen or recommended?
Yeah, that's a great question. There were several sets of criteria that we used as we went through this multi-step analysis. I'll just generalize about those criteria. They included criteria related to the hydrogeology of the aquifer, the amount of movement, the transmissivity of water within the aquifer, the amount of yield that could be had as we're recovering water from the aquifer, the potential injection rate of putting water within the aquifer, the water quality of native groundwater within the aquifer were some of those characteristics related to the hydrogeology. Later on, as the analysis progressed, we also took into account operational factors. So how many wells would be required to achieve the project goals, the overall amount of supply that would be yielded from the aquifer storage and recovery project, the potential amount of treatment that would be required to maintain compatibility between the injected water and the native groundwater so that we could, again, prevent any sort of negative interactions, as well as the amount of operational resiliency provided by the project. There were other factors as well related to environmental impacts, avoiding threatened and endangered species areas, the cost of the project as compared to other options. There were a variety of criteria that went into this, as well as permitting criteria as well. When we looked at all of those factors, some of the key takeaways when comparing locating an ASR project in the Carrizo Wilcox versus in Travis County, we would be looking at the Trinity Aquifer within Travis County, is that there is less potential movement of water within the aquifer based on the characteristics of the Carrizo Wilcox and the sandy nature of the aquifer, leading to less overall movement. That would allow us to maintain greater control over the water that would be stored underground and would also reduce the amount of treatment that we'd have to do on water that would be pulled back out, because we'd hopefully be pulling back out pretty much the water that we would be putting in, so less mixing. The well yields as well, when you compare the two aquifers, there are lower well yields within the Trinity Aquifer as versus putting an ASR project in the Carrizo Wilcox. So that just means you have, if you had the same number of wells within each project, you have a lower yield. You're able to pump back out less water from the Trinity, a project that would be located in the Trinity versus the Carrizo Wilcox. Again, pumping out water that has been previously stored, not pumping out excess groundwater. So those are some of the key factors that went into our evaluation and the decision to put it in, to potentially field test within the Carrizo Wilcox within Bastrop County versus within the Trinity in Travis County.
Mayor, if I may, I've got three questions, trying to make it real quick. When is the memorandum of understanding needed or expected?
Yes, we're working on that. So we've been having biweekly stakeholder meetings in Bastrop County. And so we're making a lot of progress. We have a draft agreement. Our attorneys are meeting next week with Bastrop County attorneys as well to start looking through how to get through non-disclosure agreements and kind of be able to move us further along. So we're hopeful, in the next few months that we would be able to land that and then, move it forward to all of our governing bodies for approval.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we would have time here locally to hear what the public might feel about that. So I'm fascinated by the science. You're sourcing water from the Austin drinking water system, not the Colorado River. This is excess water,
So
drinking water.
this would be, so City of Austin gets all of our water from the Colorado River and then from the Highland Lakes, the chain of lakes upstream, Lakes Travis and Buchanan upstream of Austin. So this would be water that we've diverted from the Colorado River and Lake Travis. We would divert that at our water treatment plants. We would treat that water to drinking water quality, and then that would be conveyed via transmission main to the well field to be injected. This water, so City of Austin has access to up to 325,000 acre feet per year. 1 acre foot is 325,851 gallons. Super straightforward unit of measure. But so City of Austin has access up to 325,000 acre feet per year of water supply from the combination of our water rights backed up by the Highland Lakes. We used last year about 168,000 acre feet. So that just gives you a sense. During times when it's raining and we have extra water supply, we could divert that water and we could store it for those times when it's not raining. So
What protection or rights to access would we have here in Smithville?
So I think that would be worked out as a part of the partnership framework.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
I think that City of Austin would make water supply available to partners, and that would be worked out through this partnership framework. And then later on through subsequent water supply contractual agreements between partners and the City of Austin.
Okay, I mean, that's what I'm asking. You want to know what we thought about it. I would be expecting some sort of protection for us to make sure that we get a portion of it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I would like to ask is that you email either us or Robert, and that we have a place at the table at these meetings in Bastrop, because we haven't been before now, and I want to make sure that we are there. So.
Yes, sir, Councilmember Jenkins, you absolutely have our commitment and we will make sure that you are included from here on out.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to ask, what is the reception from other groups such as the Lost Pines Conservation District? What kind of reception are you getting from area communities and groups like that?
Sure. I would say concerns are focused on water quality for sure. Want to know what interactions will be with the water from Austin with the native groundwater. And that's why we're working so closely with their staff and their consultants on this testing plan. They've given us comments, one round of comments. We're scheduling a follow-up meeting to review the second draft of that testing plan so that we're in sync. And their scientists who are on their team and on their consultants are involved from the front end. And then we also get questions about the landowner aspect. And that is part of why that's part of the MOU and Austin's commitment to work with landowners. We want to create a project that provides benefits locally, and so that folks want the project and want to move forward and work with us. That's the goal that we have, and we know it's not going to be easy, but we're here to work together to try to achieve that goal. Do you want to add anything, Randy? Okay.
I want to add just one comment here, just for comparison's sake. 325,000 acre feet is what your storage capacity or you're permitted for. The city of Smithville is permitted for 4,000 acre feet. and we use about 1,000 acre feet or 325 million gallons of water a year. So orders of magnitude difference.
I just wanted to note, so right now, we are looking at a 2080 storage volume that would max out at 300,000 acre feet. So that would be the amount of water that's stored within the aquifer. We'd have to build up to that over a period of time, right? That's our 2080 storage volume. And our 2080 yield that we've initially planned for that project would be 44,000 acre feet per year. But again, since it's a savings account, you have to think about that, spread out over a period of years. If once you use up all of the water that would be stored, then that wouldn't be available. So we'd have to think about smart ways to operate that facility to be able to stretch those resources.
One more crazy question. Have you thought about how you're going to get your water from there to here and what route you're going to take and how it's going to come through our county or counties next to us?
To go ahead, we have some preliminary alignments that we have evaluated as a part of our planning. That the city of Austin has committed to not using eminent domain as a part of this project. And because of that, our preliminary routing, as well as the location of the well field, may need to adjust to accommodate what we're able to acquire control over in terms of land.
One last comment, just council and mayor, I don't know why we weren't in the initial stakeholders, but we're there now. I'm attending the stakeholder meetings and I'm also on the technical advisory committee for this project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of information there. Okay, item 5. Approval of the minutes from April 14, 2025 council meeting and public hearing and the April 30th, 2025 special called council meeting.
You need a motion?
Yes.
Let me ask one quick question first. On the April 30th meeting minutes, Jennifer, in the second section, it talks about Councilmember Jameson making a motion, but I don't think there's any verbiage about second or action. I think that needs to just be added unless I missed something. I just did a quick read this afternoon. It's the one talks about the MBR technology where there was a motion made to direct the city manager to assess, and then I don't think it has any concluding second or action showing that it was voted on and approved. I think it was approved unanimously. So whoever makes the motion, if they could add that to it, I think that would be appropriate.
And that was to come back in June to give an update regarding where we are on MBR with this reuse group.
Okay.
All right, Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the council meeting of April 14th, 2025 and April 30th, a special, the public hearing on April 30th, 2025 with the amendments that Councilman Etheridge has put forth.
I'll second that motion.
A motion has been made and seconded. All in favor? Yes. Yes. It's approved. Did you get all that, Jennifer? Thank you. Discussion and action on a resolution canvassing the May 3rd, 2025 municipal general election. Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
You want the motion and we read the resolution, correct? We have to read the vote count.
Do we have to read the vote count? I think we just accept it. Did we read it? You just have to accept it. Do we have to read it?
It says in our notes, the motion to approve must specify the actual number of votes received by each candidate.
Do you have the new one?
Yeah, I've got the,
Okay, thank you.
I can read the resolution. That's way, okay. Mayor, I
I didn't print that.
move we approve the resolution as follows. It's a resolution in order canvassing the returns and declaring the results of the city officer's election. Whereas the general election was held on the 3rd day of May, 2025 for the purpose of electing the officials hereinafter. And whereas it appears for said return duly and legally made, that there were cast at said election 578 valid and legal votes. And whereas each of the candidates in said election received the following votes: Alderman, place 1, Tyrone Washington, 474. Alderman, place 2, Brandon Dunham, 436. Write-in, Cale Lammerts, 28. Alderman, place 3, Brian Wells, 285. Jimmy Jenkins, 293.
Do I need to redo that since she sent out a new one that had came up?
It's 583, I think.
There you go. Can we just correct it?
583 is the new one.
583 was the valid and legal votes.
And the second whereas, correct 578 to 583.
583.
And then the write-in candidate was Cale Lammert, 14, and then a write-in unassigned was 14.
Write-in unassigned was 14. What was the first?
Okay, I'm sorry. So the split was out of the 28 was 14 and 14, 14 Cale and 14
Yes.
not on the
Unassigned.
list.
Okay, I'll make the second that the vote count was, with the correction of 583. The write-in candidate, 14,
And other, is
and other,
14.
was 14.
that correct? Okay, we got that, and now we need a second.
I
A
second.
motion has been made and seconded. Second was by Kathy. All in favor? It is approved. All right, you're up, Jennifer. Administering the pre-oaths and oaths of office to elected officials.
Am I dismissed?
You can hang out.
No, I will, but do I wait until after the, what do you want me to do?
After the oaths, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
You got the good chair.
Somebody had a
Yeah.
heart attack.
No. Break protocol.
Brandon, where's Brandon? Tyrone, Jimmy. Oh, I'll take pictures.
And then after, I'll get y'all's signatures. Okay?
Oh, where do I start?
Y'all can just stand up.
Wait on Jimmy.
So it's gonna be the statement of office first, and just, I'm gonna pause and you just state your name. So I do solemnly swear and affirm that you have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, or contributed or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for giving or withholding of a vote at the election at which you were elected, or as a reward to secure your appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be, so help me God. I do. Yeah. And then the oath of office, in the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, I do solemnly swear that you affirm, that you will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Alderman, place 1, place 2, and place 3 of the state of Texas, and will do to the best of your ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and this state, so help me God. Okay, so here's yours.
Jill, what's the matter? Jill, get a photo. Get a photo. Okay, good. Thank you.
She did.
Yep.
You might need.
Welcome, Brandon. Remember that chairs wore out, so don't get too excited and flip backwards. Yeah, it's a,
Rodeo chair.
yeah, that's the rodeo chair, so good luck. Okay. Discussion and action on the election of Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Jimmy Jenkins as the mayor pro tem.
Okay. I need a second.
Second?
Motion has been made, second, all in favor? 1, 2. Well, welcome, Mayor Pro Tem Jimmy Jenkins. Jennifer, do we have anybody signed up for general public? Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is hear recommendations from planning and zoning. Welcome, Garrett. Or who's going to talk today? Caroline?
All right.
Welcome, Caroline.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
This was another record-breaking meeting. It lasted a total of 4 minutes. It was for dividing a minor replat of one lot into 3 residential lots for 1734 Colorado Drive, A46 Lomas L, acres 1.430, property ID 16605, property owners Literal Real Estate Holdings LLC, and Casey Gurka was there to represent. Basically, this is it's a large lot on the other side of the Highway 71 on Colorado. It's a small piece that's in the city limits over there and dividing one lot into 3. 2 lots have access on Colorado and 1 has access on Loop Road. It was voted unanimously. Nobody was there to oppose. That was it. Any questions?
Oh. Oh, we gotta go on the other beat.
Thank you. All right, anybody signed up? Oop, turn back on. Anybody signed up to speak? Okay, so I close the public hearing and I go back into the open meeting and discussion and action on a minor replat. No, I didn't close public.
Public hearing, we have a second. We have a second public hearing that we have to address. This item B, the annexation.
Is that you?
Yeah, P and Z, now you're in the public. No one wants to speak, so.
Yes, so then I go back into open.
Yeah. Oh, I've got to talk about B.
Oh, you wanted to talk about B. Oh, sorry. It's all yours. We're still in public hearing. I did not realize Robert wanted to speak. I apologize.
You just have to say that this is the second public hearing for the annexation of the 0.8 acres that was involved with the Loop 230 detention pond that we got with the GLO CDBG MIT grant. And it's required to have a second public hearing to tell folks we're going to annex. So we're going to annex. That's it.
Okay. Again, I close the public hearing and I go back into the open meeting. Discussion and action on a minor replat dividing one lot into 3 residential lots at 1734 Colorado Drive, A46 Lomas L, acres 1.430, property ID 16605, property owners Literal Real Estate Holdings LLC, Brenda Fowler. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve a minor replat dividing one lot into 3 residential lots at 1734 Colorado Drive, A46 Lomas L, acres 1.430, property ID 16605, property owner L Real Estate Estate Holdings, agent Brenda Fowler.
I second that motion.
A motion's been made and second. All in favor? It is approved. Discussion and action on a service plan agreement.
16.
Am I right?
16, yeah.
Discussion action on service plan agreement for the city of Smithville Annex. I'm sorry, I got myself off. Discussion and action on a service plan agreement for the city of Smithville annexing 0.8813 acres on the Lewis Lomas Survey A46.
Yeah, Council and Mayor, this is something that's required with each annexation that we do. It's just a service agreement to water, electric, sewer, garbage, but since this is just a detention pond, I don't see a lot of that being used there, but it's still required.
Any other
There you want a
questions?
motion?
Yes, sir.
I move approval of a service plan agreement for the city of Smithville annexing 0.8813 acres in the Lewis Lomas Survey A46.
Second.
I second that motion.
A motion been made and second. All in favor? Motion is approved. And then we have 17, discussion and action on an ordinance to annex property described as 0.8813 acres situated in the Lewis Lomas Survey Abstract Number 46 and Bastrop County, Texas, being a portion of the called 0.441 acre parcel 1 described in a deed from Robert Smith et al. To the state of Texas, executed July 31st, 2003, and recorded in volume 1373, page 188 of the Bastrop County Official Public Records, being all of called 0.097 acres, parcel 2, described in a deed from Wanmani Enterprises Incorporate et al. To the state of Texas, executed July 21st, 2003, and recorded in volume 1379, page 288 of the Bastrop County Official Public Records, and being portion of a called 0.344 acre parcel 3, described in a deed from Wanmani Enterprises Incorporate to the state of Texas, executed July 21st, 2003, and recorded in volume 1379, page 282 of the Bastrop County Official Public Records.
All right, Mayor and Council, a couple of things there. This was for the TxDOT easement that we had to purchase as part of the detention pond. And I'm going to give you a little school in here. Does anyone know what ETUX stands for? Et ux? It's Latin for the wife. I didn't know that.
Oh, I think I said it wrong.
Duly informed.
How did you figure that out?
I looked it up.
Oh.
Googled it. He Googled it. He,
AI'd it. Okay, well, now I'll entertain a motion for all this knowledge that we share every day.
Mayor, I move approval of an ordinance to annex property described as 0.8813 acres situated in the Lewis Lomas Survey, abstract number 6 in Bastrop County, Texas, being a portion of a called 0.441 acre parcel 1 described in a deed from Robert Smith et ux. To the state of Texas, executed July 31st, 2003, and recorded in volume 1373, page 188 of the Bastrop County Official Public Records, being all of a called 0.097 acres parcel 2 described in a deed from One Media Enterprises, Inc. et al. To the state of Texas, executed July 21st, 2003, and recorded in volume 1379, page 288 of the Bastrop County Official Public Records, and being portion of a called 0.344 acres parcel 3 described in a deed from One Media Enterprises, Inc. To the state of Texas, executed July 21st, 2003, and recorded in volume 1379, page 282 of the Bastrop County Official Public Records.
Second.
You got a second from somebody? Yeah. You got it?
second.
everybody seconded.
All in favor? Approved. Number 18, discussion and possible action on upcoming budget plans, process, and proposed schedule of related meetings and workshops. Oh, I missed something?
Public comment?
I have a public comment, Kristen.
Uh-oh.
Council, Kristen Merriweather, Smithfield, Texas News. Anytime you guys are going to talk about the budget, I'm always going to be up here as long as I'm still standing. So the notes that were in the packet were talking about process, and I think that's probably.
Kristen, I'm sorry, I can barely hear you. Can you move closer? Thank you.
Yes. Can you hear me now? No? Oh, okay. All right. I'll just speak up. The notes that were in the packet definitely talked a lot about process, and I think that's probably the vast majority of what you guys are going to look at today. And I think that is important to come up with whatever process, and if there's any changes, I've never been a part of your budget, so I would assume so, that you guys need to figure that out for this new council. One thing that I would invite you guys to do, and I think everybody that was on the dais except for Brandon had one of these, and it's all available online. This is the audit. This is the CAFR reports. This tells you what you guys have been spending. I did a very nerdy deep dive, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, that kind of showed where our spending is at. And I think as you guys look at the budget, I think the right word is caution against having information come to you and be given to you and make a decision based on an A or a B. I've seen that in so many municipalities, from the super big to the very tiny. You as the legislative body are responsible for the money that we're spending. It's your vote that is going to decide where each of our pennies go. And if you look at what we've done in the past, I think it's very important to show, just like in your home budget. If you, like, I'm struggling financially, so I've had to cut all my cultural and recreation things. That's one of the biggest expenses in our budget right now. And if we are not at a place where we are just have a bunch of money, that to me is one of the places that I would be looking to cut first. I think most of us would do that. You know, you can't go out to eat if you don't have as much money, right? So I think as you guys look forward, I know the biggest thing that everybody wants to talk about and look at is the property tax and the utility rate. Those are the levers that you guys have to pull. But history and what we've been spending on is in this thing that everyone has access to. And if anybody wants to get into AI, you can throw these into Grok, ChatGPT, I'm sure, whatever, and have these looked at as well. And really understand those before you come to those meetings. Not just look at whatever's being presented and posted to you, but what do you and your eyes see? So I'm always here as a resource, regardless of whatever happens with the paper. I'm a budget nerd. I have always been a budget nerd. And so regardless of what happens with me in the paper, you guys all have my phone number and my email, and I would love to be a resource. So thanks, guys.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, Mitch.
I think it's a segue to the opening comments that I asked you to allow me to read, and I'll provide an electronic copy of this for the minutes. First of all, I want to thank the city manager for moving up the process to give us more time to provide feedback and direction. I believe this will keep us from being in a pressure cooker the week before formal adoption of the budget in September. And I love the streamlining with only 3 workshops and an optional 4th if needed. I'd like to note for the public that this is the first notice of our process and schedule. So please take note and spread the word. One of our biggest complaints we get, and this is the most important thing we do every year, is the budget. And we constantly hear that there was no notice, no opportunity to speak. So here's your first notice, and please help us spread the word on that. Given the current environment with feedback during the election and candidate forums, in my opinion, the majority of our citizens are opposed to any increase to the property tax rate, utility fees, or additional debt obligations. I will be advocating this position. We need thorough analysis of current spending and opportunities for cutting expenses. And the citizen comments earlier brought some of this to light in terms of our need of doing a thorough analysis of how the money's been spent in the past. I'm not saying it hasn't been done in the past, just that we need to take it to the next level. I'm in favor of a no new revenue tax rate to start with. That's my personal opinion, which might require hard decisions and cuts to fund the priorities as determined by the council. We most likely have some large grant matching needs coming up, and I again will be advocating for expanding our economic development department. So that will require a reallocation of resources. In a nutshell, tonight I'd like us to discuss how to accomplish all of this. I think the best process is to develop a multi-scenario approach that includes a set goal of reduced spending to account for a possible lower than expected revenue forecast from BCAD in July. So for example, let's say we target a 3% reduction in spending, but also decide to invest $150,000 in economic development. That's about a $630,000 cut or reallocation. And those are tough decisions. I'm not saying we have to do this. I'm saying we need to prepare for it. Then we could have a no new revenue scenario that includes alternative plans for funding our must-have priorities. We can direct the city manager to start this analysis now so the templates can be established early, and he can have those discussions with his department heads and how to accomplish each scenario. This will allow us to plug in whatever we decide to do when the July numbers are provided. Without a doubt, this is going to be a challenging budget process. One of the bills in the legislature right now is talking about doubling the tax exemption, homestead exemption for over 65. The last year, I think this cost us $119 Robert. So if we're going to double it, maybe it's going to cost us another 119. I don't know, but these are the things, I'd like us to take into account. If we're not going to raise the property tax rate or utility fees, the only revenue stream we can impact is sales tax revenue through economic development. And this will require an investment in that area. If we make that a priority now, the city manager will know to include it in his budget preparation. Thank you for the time and welcome discussion. I didn't make that a motion, Mayor, unless you want me to. Just open discussion, however you want to proceed.
Let me add a couple of changes that have occurred that have come to light since the process timeline was published. We will require 4 meetings because you have to have another public hearing on the meeting before you adopt the budget. Okay, so that September meeting is on. There's also going to be a change. In June, you'll get a look at where we are. And then July will be where we're going. The council, the staff will be presenting their wishes, wants, and needs. In August, we'll come back and figure out how we're going to get it done. In September, we'll do the the finals, the prioritizations 1 through 3. What do you have to do? What do you want to do? What can be pushed off? So that's the change that's not reflected in this process. There will be a 4th meeting. It may not be a long meeting, or it might be. Just depends. Okay.
Anybody have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I want to make it clear that we're looking at $10 million, Robert, in grants for fixing our existing infrastructure before we even start expanding our infrastructure. And from what I understand, this grant is what, a 10 or a 20% match?
20%.
20% match. So that's going to make it $2 million that we're going to have to find. And I don't know how we're going to do that, which way we're going to go with that. But those are things that we cannot not do if we're going to keep our city safe, keep the toilets flushing, and move forward. These are not things that, oh, we can just let that go. We cannot do that.
Hey, I just want to point out a typo. July 30th on this paper says 5 o'clock, and in the chart it says 5:30. Just wanted to.
It's 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, just wanted to kind of jumping ahead, but looking at the revenues, we can see that we're below trend of last year at this point, 72 versus 78. And I just want to, that just kind of jumps out at me that we're not collecting as fast as we think we should be. And that the revenue is not where it needs to be. I don't think that's an issue this year, but I think it's just something to be mindful of as we talk about the budget coming into the new year. The other thing, I mean, much to Jimmy's point, where we had tump grinding that had happened this year, that was an unexpected cost, but it, just like this grant potentially could be an unexpected cost, or it could be planned for, whatnot. But it came at the cost of buying a new fryer truck as well too. And so those kind of things, just being adaptable, but also being conservative right now, to make sure that the budgets we're adopting allow for leeway for the infrastructure development that needs to come, but also making sure that we're not overextending ourselves if these revenue numbers don't catch up where they're supposed to be.
Good point. Thank you. Anybody else?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion then. I move that we direct the city manager to develop a multi-scenario approach to the budget proposal process that includes 1, a 3% reduction in spending and $150,000 investment to expand the economic development department. 2, a no new revenue scenario that includes a $150,000 investment to expand the economic development department. And 3, a scenario that includes alternative additional funding options to accomplish council priorities for long-term needs.
I'll second.
A motion has been made and second, outlining. All in favor? Opposed? Did you get that, Jennifer? At this point, no action taken on number 18. Number 19, discussion and action on approval of the financial report. Cynthia, here's your time to shine.
Okay. All right, you should have received in your packet the April financial report. As you can see, the revenues overall are at 9.9 of the $16 million budget. Basically where we're supposed to be at this time. If you look a little bit lower, general fund doesn't look so great. Utility fund looks pretty good. I expect that to move to be where it will balance out towards the end of the year. It's just the timing type thing. I don't really see anything. There's not a lot of change from last month. So I don't know if y'all have any questions about it or concern.
Did you get the pack? Okay, you're good. You're good, you're good. I'll entertain a motion.
May I make a motion to approve the financial report?
Second.
Motion been made and second, all in favor. 1, 2, it is approved. Thank you, Cynthia. I lost my piece of paper. We have some upcoming, Robert's report this week is very detailed. I wanted to point out that he put in his report for Jamboree, in case you didn't make it to Jamboree and be one of these numbers. We had over 29,000 people frequent our city for the whole week. And so I think that's pretty impressive for our Jamboree committee that they put on a great event, and want to tell them thank you for bringing all these great people to town. And upcoming events, oh, the Tyrone. It's gonna be Tyrone's time to shine on a Sunday at the Riverbend Park. The volunteer fire department will have their annual fried chicken and sausage with all the sides. It's $15 a plate, and raffle tickets are being sold, so please come if you can. And we have a workshop on May 21st here at City Hall. And the VFW on Monday, May 26th at 11 o'clock will honor those servicemen who have sacrificed and paid the ultimate price for freedom. So please join us and please stay informed.
The workshop on the 21st is to review the PID policy and talk about the impact fee process. Okay,
Thank you for
so,
finishing that sentence.
yeah. 5 o'clock, not 5:30.
5 o'clock.
My bad.
Don't be